I just love the sidewalks in Atlanta. You get that address? Why do these scooters gotta sit out here for so long? There's one over there across the street that's been sitting here for a week. Come get this junk. Ponce Leon, North Island. A Porch Fest. Interesting. Interesting.
Reported on some of the bad behaviors of some of these water boys. This afternoon, we're going to focus on something potentially that could be life or death. The traffic dangers. One 15-year-old who spotted a police officer took off running in traffic. A motorist hit that boy, sending him to the hospital.
It's very dangerous.
This is one of the busiest intersections in Buckhead, the 400 Loop at Lenox on Friday afternoon. One of the youngsters who hustles motorists for $1 for a bottle of water was struck by a car.
I'm sure that motorist was gut-wrenched because these are small, framed kids. They dart in and out of traffic. Praise God that the child was not killed.
The child who was struck saw an off-duty officer working the intersection. He and the other boys, apparently believing they were about to be detained, decided to flee. The injured boy acknowledged that off-duty cop did not chase him.
The boys will never be safe running in between cars. They will never be safe carrying big wads of cash.
The female motorist who struck the teen is a nurse and immediately went over to check on him. He barely managed to walk, and EMTs took him to Eggleston Hospital. The councilwoman told me doctors successfully treated the boy, and he's back home now. Ms. Overstreet is on the mayor's task force, seeking to both encourage the entrepreneurial spirit of these water boys, but take them out of intersections.
And when the police are approaching the boys on the corners, they're approaching them with information. They're letting them know that they're paid internships. We've also started a new campaign for the summer and for
Parked by the numbers, city officials estimate there may be as many as 500 teens who from day to day try to hustle at the intersections.
I'm Fox Public reporter Randy Travis in Paulding County. A veteran deputy quits after his supervisors insist that he testify before the grand jury in cases he had nothing to do with. Coming up, I'll show you why that practice is actually allowed.
Fox 5 News is brought to you by 10 others were injured in a fiery crash. It happened Saturday evening on I-85 near the 985 split in Suwanee. Police say the van belonging to a sober living group was headed to a meeting when it flipped over and caught fire. Other drivers who saw the crash stopped and tried to pull the victims to safety.
I was just trying to help a lady who approached me who said felt like she was on fire. I just tried to kind of console her and get her down to the ground.
The cause of that crash is still under investigation.
Demands continue in North Carolina.
Mendoza graduated from Sandy Creek High School, and friends from Georgia Military College say he had a $1 trillion smile.
Armando was a breath of fresh air. He was love, laughter, intrigue, and courage, all rolled into a package of swag that was simply infectious.
On this beautiful day, I just want to give a quick little word of encouragement.
Officer Mendoza died April 19th after a crash with another vehicle in his patrol car. He leaves behind his parents, his fiancée, and a devastated but grateful community.
Angels don't live long in this world. Those are the words that Armando's grandmother replied to the sheriff and I when we notified her of his passing. Angels don't live long in this world. Officer Mendoza was an angel among us, and he will continue to watch over and protect his fellow officers and his Clayton County community. and we should all rejoice in that fact.
They believe an altercation led to that shooting. Authorities say Woods and Reed are family acquaintances. Woods is charged with aggravated assault and felony murder. Officers are still looking for Woods tonight. A Fox 5 News alert from the GBI. Agents are
investigate the wreck. Now, again, you can see that ATV there involved. We're still working to get more information, including if there were any injuries involved in this incident. We'll have an update on this breaking news tonight on Fox 5 News at 10.
Police are working to figure out who shot him and why.
Happening today, activists plan to file a lawsuit.
Information of our victim, including his address, his photograph, his parents' information. So we knew very quickly that our victim was in serious danger.
Sheriff Ron Freeman said they had to act quickly because Abayome's court date was just a few days away, and they think he wanted to stop the carjacking victim from testifying against him. He said many of the messages to the accomplices on the outside were written in code.
We found the cipher or decryption to the coded messages in his jail cell.
In a statement, the intended target of the murder said, quote, "This all seems surreal and something you would see in the movies. To receive the news all the people involved have been arrested is a sigh of relief."
We believe our victim was hours, if not days, from an attempt on his life.
Deputies have charged the 5 suspects with conspiracy to commit a crime. They're now all sitting in the Forsyth County Jail. Incoming, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
the way we are. Change is inevitable. We can either take charge of it or we can be defined by it.
State Representative Billy Mitchell wants the mountain carving to come down too. He's introduced legislation to give the board more flexibility to do so.
In the last week, there's been a slight drop in the number of people testing positive.
New at 6, Atlanta police officers jumped into action to save a person trapped inside a burning vehicle. Officers were called to a Shell gas station on Campbellton Road for a crash. When they arrived, they noticed the driver trapped inside the car was having a seizure. Officers quickly started to break the windows out of the vehicle to get to the driver. They were able to get that person to safety. The driver and officers were taken to Grady Memorial Hospital with minor injuries.
Wow, great hustle by those officers. Also new at 6 tonight.
Dukes reports a group of black Republicans have now challenged those claims in support of new legislation.
Members of the Georgia Black Republican Council gathered at the state capitol Monday to voice their support for Georgia's controversial new voter law, Senate Bill 202. The group is challenging Democrats' claims that the election integrity bill, signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp, seeks to disenfranchise blacks and other communities of color.
And we as black Republicans, we do want to let black America know that you're not short on anything. You have the right to vote.
The group urges Georgians to read the bill, saying it makes Georgia's voting system better by ensuring fair elections.
And a lot of the things that are in this bill, Senate Bill 202, are just common sense ideas and practices, best practices that are already being done.
Last week, a coalition of faith leaders representing more than 1,000 churches across Georgia launched a nationwide boycott against Home Depot after the home improvement giant refused to meet with them to discuss SB 202. They want Home Depot to publicly oppose the new law. Those here criticize clergy members and corporations that are siding with them.
Well, the boycott clearly is misinformed. I call it a rush to rhetoric and a rush to judgment by corporations who say they've listened to certain leaders, but they haven't listened to all of them about what this bill does and does not do.
Wilson maintains the boycott will hurt the main people those calling for it claim they want to protect. They point to the economic impact Major League Baseball's pulling the All-Star game out of Cobb County will have on the state economy.
It hurts black businesses who are already have already prepared for being a part of the All-Star game and ordering supplies and resources. And so that is a clear disconnect with the boycott of Georgia based on a bill that clearly they haven't read, and that goes all the way to the White House.
Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Capitol this morning with more. Elizabeth, good morning.
Good morning. They plan to hold that news conference at 10 o'clock this morning, and like you said, they plan to file a lawsuit against Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Several organizations are teaming up against Georgia's new voting law, claiming that it's racially discriminating and promotes voter suppression. Georgia faith leaders and voting rights advocates announcing Tuesday they'll file a lawsuit against Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to block the implementation of Senate Bill 202. But some groups disagree. This week, the Georgia Black Republican Council challenged those claims that the bill seeks to disenfranchise certain voters.
This election bill is so very important to the state of Georgia. And the reason it's so very important to the state of Georgia, so there will not be any interference in our elections. That's the key.
The fallout from this controversial bill includes a nationwide boycott against Home Depot after the company refused to meet with some activists.
Well, the boycott clearly is misinformed. I call it a rush to rhetoric and a rush to judgment by corporations who say they've listened to certain leaders, but they haven't listened to all of them about what this bill does and does not do.
Now again,
for members of Congress, President Biden is not expected to wear one when he addresses a joint session of Congress tomorrow. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
20 is your time, and coming up on Good Day Atlanta, the pandemic.
Reasonably expect to live over 100 years. And that's a major break from when I came along anyway. As a result, multi-generational households are a real thing that we need to be aware of. It's making some houses more valuable and others less valuable. And one of the reasons is, and we're about to cover why things are getting more expensive, but that grandma, that grandpa often has a pool of funds that they've saved over a lifetime, or access to regular steady income that can be used to purchase a larger house. So I think we're going to see multi-generational households as a fixture in American real estate going forward.
Number 3, things are getting tougher on those first-time home buyers just to get their piece of the American dream. Doesn't seem like that's going to get any easier anytime soon.
I'm afraid it's going to get worse because right now we're being fueled by artificially low interest rates in an effort to stimulate the economy. Well, it's worked. The economy is just roaring back. I've never seen the Fed so excited about the upcoming recovery. But the reality here is, again, that prices are not going to come down anytime soon. And I'm concerned that we may be headed toward inflation. If that happens, we'll see interest rates climb, making it even more difficult for first-time home buyers. It's like a ladder being pulled away from the ground. If you can get on that bottom rung, you've joined the real estate owner's world. If you can't, you're going to be renting.
Some of your new
longer for kids. There's lower immigration and an aging population.
I assured the president that the census was complete and accurate.
The census also helps decide how the 435 representative seats in Congress are divided. States picking up congressional seats, Colorado, Montana, Oregon, Florida, and North Carolina all gained 1. Texas picked up 2. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan will lose 1 seat. New York will as well. It was 89 people short of avoiding the loss. And for the first time in the state's history, California will lose a seat, but it remains the largest state. All other 37 states remain the same. Some say taking a census during a pandemic could have led to a lower count.
2020 brought unprecedented challenges: a global pandemic, destructive wildfires, the most active hurricane season on record, and civil unrest across the country.
Republicans look at the South and westward trend as a positive movement.
I think Republicans, when this is all said and done, will be in a great spot to take back the House majority in 2022.
As for the district, the census data shows that it grew at almost double the national rate and now has a population larger than both Wyoming and Vermont. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox 5 News Edge at 11.
A porch fest. Interesting. Interesting. Of course, we do have the local drive-in. It's not a drive-in. It's actually a parking lot. Atlanta Film Festival's in progress, by the way.